Seoul, a city of 10 million stories. And tonight, one of them was just about to begin. Her name was Tobenna Osei. She had crossed oceans and continents to be here, not chasing a dream, but building one. A graduate program in international business, a new city, a fresh chapter. Tobenna was the kind of woman who walked into a room and owned it without trying. Focused, independent, quietly brilliant. She had learned long ago that standing out was simply the price of being exactly who you were. One evening, near her university, she slipped into a small cafe to escape the autumn chill. That's when she noticed him, a man at the counter, politely, patiently, completely failing to order coffee. The barista looked confused. He looked apologetic. The language gap between them was widening by the second. And Tobenna, she simply stepped forward. "He wants an iced Americano," she said, gently in Korean. The man turned, surprised. For a moment, he just looked at her, like he couldn't quite believe someone had reached out. "Thank you," he said, a quiet voice, a shy smile. His name was Yeon Taesan, and from that single, ordinary moment, their lives began to quietly intertwine. Taesan had dated before. He knew what it felt like to like someone, but Tobenna was different in a way he couldn't immediately explain. She was bold but kind, strong but warm. She laughed loudly and freely, the kind of laugh that made strangers smile without knowing why. She spoke honestly, even when it was uncomfortable, especially then. With her, Taesan didn't feel the need to perform, to be impressive, to keep up. He just felt peace. Soon their weekends had a new shape. Han River walks where they talked until the sun moved across the sky, late-night ramen in tiny spots only locals knew, conversations that started at dinner and somehow survived until sunrise. He didn't plan to fall in love, but he did. And deep down, he knew she felt it too. One evening, over a family dinner, Taesan made the mistake of saying her name out loud. Not a mistake in his heart, only in the room. The moment he mentioned Tobenna, his mother's smile faded, slowly, like a light being turned down. "African?" she asked. The words stretched thin with something unspoken. Taesan nodded. His father stayed quiet, that particular silence that says everything. His mother shook her head, not cruelly, but with the certainty that was somehow worse. "Taesan, a relationship like that will be difficult. People will talk. Your life will become complicated." He felt a knot tighten in his chest. "But I like her." She looked at him the way mothers do when they think they are protecting you. "Then protect your future." He drove home that night with those words sitting in the passenger seat beside him. Yeon Taesan, this scene is internal conflict. He didn't tell Tobenna. He told himself it was to protect her, to protect them, to give things more time. But the truth is, he didn't know what to say, because he didn't know what he was willing to do. So he smiled when she texted, he showed up, he held her hand, and quietly, invisibly, he began to drift. Tobenna noticed. She was too perceptive not to. "You've been distant," she said one evening, watching his face carefully. He forced a smile. "I'm just stressed." She held his gaze for a moment longer than necessary. She had learned long ago, silence almost always hides the truth. The truth, when it came, didn't arrive through a confession. It came through an open door. They were together when his mother called. He didn't step away quickly enough, and she didn't realize Tobenna could hear. The voice came through the phone, sharp and clear. "I told you to stop seeing that woman." That woman. Not her name. Not the person he had spent months talking about with warmth in his voice. Just that woman. Tobenna's heart froze. Then it cracked, cleanly like glass. Taesan noticed her expression immediately. He hung up the phone slowly. "Tobenna, I can explain." But the damage was already done. Not because of what his mother said, because of how long he had stayed quiet about it. She didn't cry. She didn't raise her voice. Tobenna simply looked at him, steady, composed. The kind of calm that comes not from coldness, but from clarity. "Did you defend me?" Taesan opened his mouth, and then he hesitated. 1 second, 2. That hesitation said everything his words couldn't. She nodded quietly, like she was putting something she'd been carrying down for the last time. "I understand." He stepped toward her, desperate. "No, you don't." She raised her hand, gently, firmly. "You shouldn't have to choose between your family and me." Her voice was steady, unshaking. "So, I'll make the choice easier." The next morning, Taesan woke up to one message. Just one. "You deserve a life without conflict. I deserve love without hesitation." Then, silence. She had blocked his number. No argument, no back and forth, no chance to talk her out of it. Taesan felt like the ground had disappeared. He stared at his phone for a long time. And for the first time, in a way that arrived too late to matter, he understood something painful. He hadn't lost Tobenna because of his mother's disapproval. He lost her because when it counted most, he didn't fight hard enough. 6 months. Time that moved forward even when he didn't want it to. Taesan walked into a business conference in Seoul on a Tuesday, the kind of event you attend because you should, not because you want to. And then he froze. Standing on the stage, commanding the attention of an entire room of executives, was Tobenna. Confident, elegant, speaking with the kind of authority that can't be taught or borrowed. She had started her own consulting company, and it was thriving. The room listened to her with the focused attention you give someone who clearly knows exactly what they're talking about. Taesan stood at the back of the room and watched. After the presentation, as the crowd moved and shifted, their eyes found each other. For a moment, the world went quiet. He walked toward her slowly, like someone approaching something he wasn't sure he deserved to approach. "I'm proud of you," he said softly. Tobenna looked at him. A polite smile, professional, composed. "Thank you." The polite small talk ended, and in the pause that followed, Taesan took a breath. "I should have fought for you." 6 words, the truest thing he'd said in 6 months. Tobenna studied him for a long moment. There was no anger in her eyes, no bitterness, just clarity. the kind that belongs to someone who has done the work of healing and come out on the other side. Then she said something he would carry with him for the rest of his life. "You didn't lose me because of your mother." She paused. "You lost me because you weren't ready for a woman who knew her worth." And with that, not harshly, not triumphantly, just simply, Tobenna turned and walked away, not as someone who had been broken by love, as someone who had been refined by it. She had moved to Seoul to build something, and she had. The only question left is whether the people in our lives will rise to meet who we're becoming, or whether we'll outgrow them trying. If this story moved you, there's more waiting for you here. Subscribe to Soulful Soul Tales for powerful Afro-Korean love stories that stay with you long after they end. Like this video if you felt it. And tell me, what would you have done?